booktube, I hope you guys are doing well. I'm not really. I've not been feeling well for a few days, so I thought I'd do a really easy video, one I've been meaning to do for a few days now, and that is a book tag. It is the Candy Slogan book tag by Bookish Realm, who, I really like her videos. I've not been following her for long, but she's got really good videos. I really like listening to her, and I thought this would be a really cool video to do. So let's start. 1. Give me a break, give me a break, break me off a piece of that Kit Kat. Yeah. Give me a break, break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. And the question for that is, which book have you had to take a break from before you finished it? I don't really see myself as someone who takes breaks between books. I tend to have like a few on the go at once, and I can leave them for like a few months at a time, and I don't necessarily see it as taking a break. I would say though, if I had to choose, I'd say maybe probably The Poppy War, because I started this one and then I read the first chapter. I thought it was amazing, but I'm going to do a review of it next year, so I thought, this is actually so amazing, I need to stop, I need to start taking notes, and I didn't. So probably this one. Question 2 is double the pleasure, double the fun, and the question is, which book on your shelf did you read 2 or more times? Not the best time for that question. The Graveyard, no, not the Graveyard, The Grave Robbers Chronicles. Yes, that's it, The Grave Robbers Chronicles. Definitely those ones, but I would also say if I have reviewed it on my blog, I tend to read them more than once. I'm going to go into more detail on this in like the September video, but I tend to, the first time I read it, I tend to take notes on it, and then I write up a review and I edit it, and then I tend to read it again and then like finish it. And if it's part of a series, then I tend to read the entire series over again so that I can do like a series review. So that's about 2 or 3 times I tend to read a book for a review. So most of them, there was a celebration kind of reading Asian thing earlier in the year, and I think that would be like the main exception, but I tend to read for reviews more than once. 3. First they're sour, then they're sweet. I think I'm supposed to write down what these slogans were for. I did not. Sorry about that. 3. First they're sour, then they're sweet. Which book started off slow but picked up and got better later? The 2 ones that I'm reading right now, Jade City, which took about until page 130 something before it got, before it kind of really hit me. But it really hit me, I don't know that I was breathing until I got to like page 144, because I was so into it, I didn't know if I was breathing, and actually my chest hurt in the end, so probably not breathing as I was supposed to. So, but also these rebel waves, the prologue was kind of quite off-putting, and everything in it has been covered later on, but I've just finished part 1 and it's gotten good at the end of part 1, so those 2. What question am I on? 4. Unexplainably juicy. What book in your shelf contained juicy drama or action? Tiny Pretty Things. This is actually a really good one. I don't necessarily go in for like the whole mean girl thing, but this one had me riveted. Like, I loved them. I loved also like hating them, some of them. It was like full of backstabbing and bitchiness, and I thought that was really, really fun and interesting. And like the book, the way that it bookends, you know, that had me going. That was very dramatic, I would say. Definitely this one, that was like A plus. 5. Need a moment, chew it over with a Twix. What book has made you think about its contents, think about yourself, or think about life in general? I actually have like a pile of books that changed the way that I think. The problem is these are all from years ago, and I don't actually remember what it was about my worldview that they changed. But it's these ones. Oh no, one sec. But it is these ones. It is Secrets of the Henna Girl, The Book Thief, Confessions of a Sociopath, The Fault in Our Stars, This Star Won't Go Out, and Being Mortal. So I can't tell you why or how, but it is those ones. I think though, no, Confessions of a Sociopath, that kind of encouraged me to humanise a group that I hadn't really had any contact with. So I'd say that it kind of made me a little bit more of an empathetic person. I really don't remember what it was about the other ones though. 6. Nobody better lay a finger on my butterfinger. What? Sorry, the question. What book in your shelf do you refuse to lend to anyone? I am quite a possessive person. Like, the world is shit and stuff makes me happy. So I tend not to want to give out anything, but I don't like that part of myself. So I tend to give, if you want it, then, you know, I would tend to let you borrow it anyway, just because I don't want to encourage that trait in myself. But I would say, if it falls under Gujin or Shenzhen, then I don't want to give them out. Most of my Chinese books are really expensive because, you know, they came from China. They stop in Holland now, but we used to get caught at customs all the time, and, you know, they're heavy and they cost a lot, and then you have to pay customs. So, like, I tend not to want to give them out. But in particular, I would say like this one, which was these two, which are like really heavy, and, you know, they're like game stuff. So like characters and character design, like sets, sceneries, which, you know, is great for me, like as a writer. Like, that is just awesome. And like, I think it also like shows you like how to animate things, like in games, how they made it, which is going to be really interesting when I can read it. And there's also this one, which is Romance of the Three Kingdoms, if I can get this out, which is just, it is handbound, and it is done in the old-fashioned style of top to bottom, and there are pictures, like they were stamped on, and I just think that's really cool, and I would not give it to anyone. I wouldn't want to risk any damage being done to them. And the last question is, melts in your mouth, not in your hand. What fictional character makes you swoon or melt? Like, okay. Like, I like villains. I kind of like villains. I'm not a villain apologist. Like, you know, they're heinous and I know that. But, I don't know, they're just a little bit... I don't know, I like the Darkling. Yeah. I also like Loki because Tom Hiddleston with black hair is just lovely. I actually, you know what? I kind of think the black hair and the pale skin is my thing, because I kind of also liked Shailene from the Grave Robbers Chronicles. oh, yeah, emotionally constipated, cold, distant, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop this now before it turns into like a psychotherapy video. But that was my, the Candy Slogan book tag. I don't know. I know you're supposed to tag people at the end of these videos. I don't know who to tag. I don't know. So like I'm just gonna leave it open for anyone who wants to. I'll put the questions down in the description if you want to just copy them out. Although I would definitely recommend you check out Bookish Realms, because I think that also includes like what the slogans are from. Better prepared than I am. But yeah, I think that's it. If you want to do it. Definitely check out Bookish Realms video, and I will see you on the 7th. Bye!